And considering what happened at Camp Mystic, people really aren't putting two and two together that this is on brand for Greg Abbott. Welcome back to the channel, and today it's going to be a little short clip, a little short video. Look, I've made videos about climate change and the impact that's going to happen. Kind of feels off to sitting there trying to make a script to cover what's happening in Texas. I've come to realize that sometimes you can't do like this, like blue or leftist sanitization of response to something. And one of those things, if you're human, if there's any value to you, because this is not a left or right thing, if you're human, it's better to just let it off the chest. And I've written a couple of things down that I want to go over just real quick. Again, this is not going to be a very long video, so I appreciate you watching. There is a clip going around, and I'll play it here.
You ask, I'm going to use your words. Who's to blame? Know this. That's the word choice of losers. Let me explain one thing about Texas. And that is, Texas, every square inch of our state cares about football. You could be in Hunt, Texas, Huntsville, Texas, Houston, Texas, any size community, they care about football. High school, Friday night lights, college football, or pro. And know this. Every football team makes mistakes. The losing teams are the ones that try to point out who's to blame. The championship teams are the ones that say, don't worry about it, man, we got this. We're going to make sure that we go score again, then we're going to win this game. The way winners talk is not to point fingers. They talk about solutions. What Texas is all about is solutions.
Shut your bitch ass up! That nigga is guilty!
Okay, that's enough. I'm done. I promise I'm done.
So in Texas, if you're not aware, that is Governor Greg Abbott. And in Texas, if you're also not aware and living under the largest of rocks, even larger than, I don't know, Patrick's Rock. In Texas, there was a lot of rain that came recently from Hurricane Chantal and its kind of shakeup in the Gulf. And the result was, I don't even think these storms were exactly Chantal. I think these storms were just kind of residual bands on the outside. It wasn't like the main thing. But as a result, a lot of areas in the Gulf states and the usual areas that get, love tapped by hurricanes had a astronomical amount of water come down on them in the span of hours. And we keep hearing every time this happens that it is a once-in-a-lifetime amount of water, blah, 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 blah. The same spiel that news always gives, right? He's got the, freaking cameraman going down to the flooded areas and going,
well, I'm coming to you live from the street here, and, well, these are waters that we have never had before since we've started tracking the water. I've got water in my penis. I just feel it in my penis, and I think it's coming out my asshole because there's so much rain.
That happens every year with at least one or two, maybe even three freaking hurricanes. For like the past decade and a half, hurricanes have just every single year gotten more and more violent, even if they're slow moving like Chantal was, even if they are not really as strong when it comes to winds like Chantal was. They could be per se weak by our measurements and still cause utter devastation, still break records. There was a flood that hit a lot of these plain areas in Texas, and some of these plain areas, it seems like it's kind of like a little bit per se valley-ish. So if you understand anything about geography and topography and how that works, is water is always going to go where? The path of least resistance, right? Which is going to be downhill and in a collective focus towards a certain area. Usually those areas, when it comes to heavy rain, are valleys or plains, because here in America, we don't have the infrastructure necessary to control much of any type of rainfall beyond your hour quick spurt, okay? Especially a place like freaking Texas, where it can freeze over during the winter because they don't have the proper infrastructure. Your power goes out, firefighters cannot get access to water, so entire apartment buildings burn down, the whole 9 yards. It's a nightmare, okay? It is a nightmare. It was a nightmare scenario, but these nightmare scenarios are going to become more and more prevalent. And in Texas, this nightmare scenario for this year, next year it could happen twice in Texas for all we know at this point. This nightmare scenario happened at also the nightmare hour. It was like 3 to like 5 o'clock in the morning when the flood really got underway, and by then most people are obviously asleep, most people are not paying attention and didn't get real notification of things until they woke up basically in the morning and cops are trying to go door to door to get people to evacuate, which is how I saw a lot of people that did evacuating was they were woken up by police who were telling them, hey, there is a wall of water coming our way. We don't know when it's going to be here, but it'd be a good idea for you to get the hell out of here. Now, you could argue all the live long freaking day about whether this was the fault of, people who are supposed to predict the weather, as well as prepare and send out alerts. You could argue all the live long day whether this was your local administrators who did not give out the evacuation warnings. I'm gonna tell you right now, the problem is it's those things for sure. But as far as the weather people go, they were cut by the Trump administration. People that Governor Greg Abbott supported, okay, they were cut. They had staff reductions, and even then, they still did a pretty good job in getting out these alerts. It's just that the alerts don't have enough systems to alert people. That's just what it is. Your systems were, weather channel notifications on your phone at 4 a.m. are not going to wake you up. And as far as the local councilmen or sheriffs or what the fuck ever you want to call for your county or your town, I mean, they're fucking local aldermen and politicians. What the fuck are they gonna know? When it comes to weather-related disasters, the last level of any true authority is on the governor's office. I'm sorry, it just is. It goes literal precedent. Congress technically in like a post response as far as like support they give in aid or financial backing they give to FEMA to assist in this and that, and then your state governors. But even though the state governors and their admin are and state resources are lower on that poll, during the time of the natural disaster incident, they sit right at the top. And Governor Greg Abbott says we shouldn't be asking who to blame for there not being enough systems to warn people. We shouldn't be asking who there is to blame for the infrastructure being dog shit to where bridges can be freaking blown away in a matter of seconds from walls of water that are barely halfway up the bridges fucking support pillars. Like, this is Governor Greg Abbott. Texans, and I want you guys to really listen here, okay? This is the asshole who declared a fucking invasion at the border and used the Texas National Guard like a military against Haitians and Hispanics at the border like they were rabid dog terrorists. But you can't build that fucking alert system. The same Abbott who told LGBTQ plus people to go pound sand, despite having a state that loves to play dress up as cowboys and claim that it's not twink or bear behavior. But you can't build that fucking alert system. And considering what happened at Camp Mystic, people really aren't putting 2 and 2 together that this is on brand for Greg Abbott. Because if I recall correctly, you said the police did their job during Uvalde. Meanwhile, we all watched them fucking find their favorite YouTube playlist or sanitize their fucking hands and measuring who had the better COD emoji stance while kids died just one wall away from them. Not for 10 minutes or 20, not 30, not 40, but over a fucking hour. Why? Because the cops said that the shooter had barricaded himself with the students and that they were not in immediate risk. A man was in a room with a loaded gun, had already been declared a mass unaliver, and they said he was no longer a risk to the students, and waited for the fucking border patrol to send a SWAT team and do what they could have done in the first fucking 5 minutes, but instead waited over an hour to do while kids died. And where were you, Governor Greg Abbott? Where was the man who says Texas is not a state of lose your language? let me tell you something about Texas. Fucking sitting up Hot Wheels style with less fucking aura than an actual fucking Hot Wheel, wondering if this was going to interfere with your NRA event appearance, and defending the assholes you knew just chilled in the fucking hallway doing nothing. You had all the information and you still defended those fucking assholes. But you can't build that fucking alert system. And now you want to blame the weather services people, or people in your admin want to, or people at the state and local legislator want to. Even though, again, you and people in the Trump admin and Donald Trump and fucking Elon Musk and Doge defunded the shit out of those fucking people. And now they're working just as stressed as fucking any other bureaucratic profession going on that actually benefits fucking people, like air traffic controllers and the whole 9 yards, because they're so fucking understaffed that every single day they're dealing with crises that are basically requiring split-second fucking decisions at that moment, or else entire fucking cities get wiped off the fucking map. But, you know, it's their fault. It's their fault that happened. It's their fault that Texas has shit tier warning systems in a world steadily becoming more and more ready to SWAT us much faster than an Uvalde police force can SWAT a fucking damn school shooter. This ain't on the fucking weatherman. This is on you, Greg Abbott. This is on your fucking admin. This is on you, the boss, the jefe. The fucking buck stops with your goddamn wheelchair. This is on the previous admin of Republican governors, or fucking if there was ever a goddamn Democrat governor that did not take fucking infrastructure fucking serious. This is on every son of a bitch whoever denied that climate change was fucking real and took money away from infrastructure programs to ensure our shit was up to snuff, because they wanted to have the fucking Texas National Guard have another fucking tank, or a fucking Uvalde Police Department have a budget larger than the fucking town, and have them be bitches when it comes to saving people's lives. That's who this is on. And a flood and a storm warning system are a part of infrastructure, and a phone alerts, that's not gonna be enough. That's not gonna be enough. And this is for every fucking state, does not matter. And we haven't even remotely spent enough to prevent this from even happening again, despite it already happening now, despite it being a lesson. We haven't even remotely spent enough. I will say it absolutely right now, whether it's Texas, it's Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, North Carolina, Kentucky, Georgia, Alabama. I think I already said Georgia, for crying out loud. Fuck it, we'll say a Midwest state. Who knows? Maybe the next hurricane fucking tickles North Dakota's tanked, or California. We are so screwed. Hurricane season isn't fucking over to the end of November. Do you honestly, not being funny or anything here, but do you think your area is prepared to get a sudden burst of rain for a few hours, or do you think it'll just be like Texas, 2 times more this year? Like, I put more money down on the ladder in a heartbeat, and not because I want to bet on human lives, but because if you don't believe that there is a fair chance when warnings of hurricanes or bad weather come, you will just dismiss it. If you don't believe in the ladder, and just go to sleep, and be the next morning, we'll be lucky if, you're found holding on to a family member or friend while in fucking rigor mortis, like several of the girls from Camp Mystic. And you know what? Fuck it. Even if you do believe in climate change, even if you do, what the fuck are you gonna do? You're just gonna stay home because you weren't given enough warning, and your state officials don't want to issue the evacuation order, despite knowing pretty much every area in the state where rain is going to drop cannot handle fucking over 1.5 inches of fucking rain in a day. And you already know you're getting hurricane level rain, and that's not 1.5 inches in any fucking scenario. It doesn't matter whether you believe in climate change or not. Hell, here in my own state, Chapel Hill, which is like a fucking hour and maybe 15-minute drive away from my house, had flooding. The Eno River in Durham flooded. And yeah, we got a shit ton of rain, but I didn't feel like we got fucking flood rain. But then I turned on the news, and homes in Chapel Hill are being wiped the fuck away or buried in flood water. homes buried, as in the water was high enough to be on the fucking roof. And we're not Texas, where this shit really got bad really fast. Many places are going to start having that happen. But no. Greg fucking Abbott, you fucking inhumane psychopath from the depths of fuck you land in the kingdom of ultimate assholes from hell. Compare this shit to a fucking football game? Tell people to stop asking for someone to blame when over 100 people died, many of whom were fucking children. Some being entire next generations of some households literally wiped out in a fucking instant overnight. But you know, it's Texas. And whether it's winters where power and water stop working or summers where heat and hell combine to eliminate anyone unlucky enough to be outside, or Houston flooding every other fucking year, or some trans person just existing, or migrants trying to find a better life, or children just enjoying a day at school or a summer camp. Don't look for blame at your loss, because that's what losers do.
Wow, bro. That's crazy. That's so...
Fuck you, Greg Abbott. Fuck you, you son of a bitch.